Welcome, Marcus Trummer, to one of the very first Jump Music Initiative podcasts. Marcus Trummer is a Calgary musician, and he's also youth, so that's perfect. That's what we want to talk about here at Jump.
You bet. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Marcus.
Sure.
Maybe let's just kind of get right into it. We had a bunch of different questions for you, especially as a young artist and a young artist out of Calgary. Maybe can you just tell us like some of your, like maybe your very first gig or some of your first gigs? How did you get into playing?
Right.
How did you get into playing live?
Yeah, live. I guess for me, growing up playing music, and my dad's a guitar player, so kind of learned through that. And then I guess my first official gigs were just like coffee shop type deal. I think, I'm trying to think what was my first like paying gig. Probably a part of like a songwriter circle. So I started off doing that kind of thing maybe 4 years ago now.
I guess I should also ask you, like, how did you start playing in front of people? Did you go to open mics, or did you throw your own shows, or as a youth musician, just trying to get out? Like, what sort of things did you do?
Yeah, well, for me, it was definitely the all ages open mics that got me into playing live. I remember, I think my first one, I went down to an Ironwood open mic, and I was still really bad at playing guitar at that point. So I was writing songs, but I wasn't a very good guitar player. So I ended up making a backing track, and they allowed me. They were really confused what I was trying to do, but they allowed me to perform my one song, since that it was an original song. And so, I mean, looking back on that, I mean, that's probably pretty weird, but yeah,
good for you. Good for you though. Like, you got to start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like, I was so nervous too about that whole thing. Like, and now I look at like a Wednesday open mic at Ironwood, like, it's fun time. We'll go hang out, maybe play a song, but yeah.
No big deal, right? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was the beginning. It kind of went from there, right? Open mics, and then those songwriter circles, cafes, and then I'm like, no, I want to play rock and roll with the band. And we did a few gigs. I think one of them we did an opening thing for you. So
was that at the Ironwood as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We did a couple opening. We had a lot of. Well, we were fortunate to have like those kind of opportunities in the beginning, especially when. I mean, now we're better, but back then we were pretty. It was pretty rough, but it was good to like just to play in front of real people. And
right, of course.
Yeah, those first few opportunities are definitely.
Yeah, every time you play in front of an audience, you know, it's like logging hours, and it's like a pilot logging hours. Like, you know, you get better and better, and just getting that experience.
Yeah. That 10,000 hour thing.
Exactly.
I don't know. Probably not even close yet. Chipping away.
I wanted to ask, you were talking a little bit about the songwriting circles, open mics, jams. Do you believe there's enough of those kind of opportunities for youth in Calgary? Or if not, what would you like to see adopted in Calgary for youth music initiatives?
Like it's not bad. I know with my band, we've hosted a youth jam at the Blues Can.
For sure.
It's been over a year now, and things like that are really good. And I like definitely the all ages venues with it, whether it's cafes and stuff. But I do think there's a bit of like a disconnect with younger musicians starting, because I know a lot of people who want to play, and like they want to be in bands and stuff, and like they just can't find the right people to be in a band with and make music together, which is crazy because it's such a big city, you know, you would think.
So you're saying the disconnect is like the people, like the musicians aren't able to find each other.
Yeah, right? Like the collaborative aspect I know especially a lot of younger musicians, there's a lot of like opportunities for like soloists to maybe go to I don't know, wherever, Gravity or something, play, you know, sets, but like I don't see a lot of bands. I know I remember like we were playing a gig the other day, and yeah, there's a young guy there, and he's like, I play guitar, like, but I don't have anyone to jam with. Like, I don't know, it's the challenge. That's, I think. And
Marcus,
the,
did you find
go
that
ahead.
do you find that once you turned 18, that all of a sudden that you know, there were so many more doors open to you in terms of places to play and do gigs? Like, is it the fact that there's so much more opportunities available to people 18 plus and not to people under 18? Did you find that there was a big difference?
Like, I think yes and no. Like, I think a lot of bands and youth musicians don't have those opportunities, but and you have to work a little harder. But there's definitely like places that are like that have all ages and stuff that, you know, they'll have you play. It's just kind of a matter of like, will they take you serious enough? I think that's probably more the issue.
I see.
There are some things I know with the like the liquor laws and stuff that have been a challenge for us, because we've I remember, well, my band still has underage members. I've had to have subs for them now, because some places they'll allow you to get exceptions to the AGLC rules, but other places it's weird. Like some places they allow it, and then other places we've tried and it takes them like weeks to get back to us when we. So I think that's part of it. The opportunities. I mean, I don't know. I like National Music Center. They have their jam club. Those kind of things are great, and I think those. I mean, that was where I learned a lot of guitar, because I've been going there since before they had the new Studio Bell. Is in the old one, and that was a really good place. That's where I met Lyndon, who plays guitar for us. So.
And that's where actually we all met at the NMC.
Yeah,
you know? So it's cool, and like this is a direct result of you know, programs like that, and just little things to connect. So, you know, kudos to them for having a program like that, because yeah, you're right, and those sorts of things didn't exist for me when I was your age. In this city, it's always different, but thankfully there are still there still are programs like that. Hopefully they can pick them up again, you know, after COVID or something like that can happen. But
those are probably the best, especially for connecting younger musicians and providing a place to foster collaboration, and you know.
I have a question for you. What sort of things, now that you, like, you know, you've been doing this for a few years and obviously learning a lot along the way, what sort of things do you want to learn about the industry? What sort of things do you still have to learn that you want to know more about any aspect of the industry? Just what sort of things are interesting to you or a challenge to you?
This is like, I have had this question before too. It's tough to answer. Like
it's a really broad question, and to be fair, it's not really I guess it's not the greatest question to ask right now, because everything is so up in the air because of the pandemic. But let's say that wasn't. Let's go pretty generally, like general.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, couple of things. I guess just a lot of the music industry itself still remains a bit of a mystery. Like you know, I can book shows locally now, and I'm fairly confident that I could, play clubs locally and, get in contact with the people to make that happen. But it's like expanding beyond that is definitely a mystery. And it's like the challenge with that is there's no real one way that people have done it, right? So, there's some people, they, work with a label and they might get a booking agent and picked up on tours. Other people, they do the small circuits and start touring and build up that way. So that kind of thing. And like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff related to that. Like,
I get that. And
making that feasible too, like grants and I don't know. Yeah, music
I think
industry.
There's so many facets to it that it's kind of endless, and it can be a little bit daunting. So I guess we always want to learn something new about the industry is so big.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can be overwhelming.
I try not to I try to educate myself as much as I can, but I guess at this point it's just like, what's the next step, Like, first it was getting gigs locally, and then it's okay, now we want to headline our shows, which is kind of what we're working towards now, is headlining, club shows locally. And then putting out music is another one that's starting to happen for us. And then, yeah, so I think one step at a time, but yeah, that's what
for sure.
What I'd like to learn more about, I guess.
For sure. That's awesome. I think that lots of other young musicians have the exact same questions, and it would be great if there was more resources that could answer those questions and help young musicians in those ways. I think there's a real gap there.
And it's not like there's a formula, and the industry is always changing, right? So it's like,
yeah, that's
whatever worked a couple of years ago doesn't necessarily work now.
Sure.
Yeah, the social media stuff and all that.
Yeah,
it's constantly evolving.
So I'd like to know if you had a friend or a mentor or someone like an idol that really inspired you to get into music in the first place.
Oh man, that's tough. I'm trying to think. I do remember one thing, which was kind of the beginning. My dad got me into guitar and songwriting, encouraged me to write songs. So that was probably one inspiration. And then when it comes to like idols or stuff, I remember seeing Colin James play live, and I think that was one of the first times I've seen like a big like guitar show, like blues, like, and I just thought that was cool. Like, even though most of the people there were old, I still thought it connected with me in some way. So that was my moment where I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to have a band, and I don't want to just play coffee shops and stuff. So, yeah,
that's cool. I can relate to that for sure. Do you have a process for when you're writing your songs? Do you start like with lyrics, or do you start with a riff, or do you jam with as a band? Like, or does it change every time? Tell me a little bit about how you come up with your songs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still learning a lot about songwriting, and yeah, every time I write, I learn new things about the craft. It's kind of a mysterious thing. Like guitar, it's like you can practice your scales and you can work on your rhythm and stuff, but the songwriting has kind of always been kind of a mystery to me. I'm always like music first, and that's just because I've always had kind of like an ear for things. I mostly learned guitar by ear, and so I always can hear melodies pretty easily, and so I'm jamming on something and I'm like, I feel like writing a song, it'll go from there. Lyrics and stuff are I like to save a lot of lyrics and pull from certain. I might have like 2 lines and I'll pull them, and then I'll pull a couple lines from something else I wrote like 6 months before then, which I've heard a lot of people do it that way. There's also a lot that do like the poetry way. They'll write like a whole like 16 whatever verses and cut it down from there. But I guess I'm not like a super good at like the word stuff, I guess. But
yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes it's a challenge, but and then having those little lines every once in a while to be able to pull on, they come in handy sometimes.
I love that, because it's the coolest thing when you can like say what you wanted to say, but it's like interesting, like in a clever, maybe not a clever way, or like the rhyme. It just, something about rhyming is really cool, which I dig about the craft. But definitely got a lot more to learn, a lot more experience in that area.
Yeah, and the songwriting is, it's infinite, and so that's it is an interesting thing about it.
Yeah.
How are your Monday nights going down at the Blues Can? Are you doing, so tell us a little bit about that. You're there
right.
hosting the Youth Jam. Is it once a month?
Yeah.
And it's on the last Monday of every month, is that right?
It's the first
Monday of every month.
Yeah.
And
we did.
Are you finding that there's a lot of musicians coming down, a lot of young players? It's been going well?
Yeah, it's been really good. Like almost consistently we get new people coming in, all different like experience levels. So there'll be girls up there singing their first song ever like in public, but then we also have like guitar players that are like better than me that show up. So yeah, it's cool, and I hope we can do it again soon, because like it's a good community, and I think that is something like I'd like to see more of, is the younger music community kind of banding together, because I know older music communities, they have their circles and stuff, but younger, it's kind of just all over,
See, yeah, totally. And what you're doing is really admirable, and it's really great, and it's really necessary to the scene, because I mean, that's how all the older musicians, including myself, that's how we all know each other, is from those jams. There used to be jams all the time. There's not so many more as there used to be way more. But anyway, that's how we all got to know each other, and we can support each other, and new projects happen. So like what you're doing down there is really important, and it's a catalyst for that. So keep that in mind, when you're doing that. It's really good what you're doing.
Yeah, I try to like, in the beginning it was like just for us to be playing once a month and have a gig, but now that we've been doing it for so many months, we've gotten past that, and now it's kind of looking at that, I guess, mentorship and just community aspect of it. But
for sure. And you'll know some of these, you'll meet some of these people, and you'll know them 20 years from now, man. And you'll still be playing, so it could
be hiring me for a gig, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's great. That's an awesome opportunity for young musicians, like you said, just to get up on stage for the first time, to facilitate that and make those connections. That's really awesome.
For sure.
I'd like to know how COVID-19 has impacted your ability to play music, and do you find that it's made people more creative in the ways they find to move forward, or how do you feel about this whole situation?
Yeah, COVID-19. Well, I don't know how it's been for everyone else. From my perspective, the biggest thing is just for what I do, like live music is kind of where it's at for me. I don't have any other way of saying it. And so that was a challenge, because especially going into spring and summer, we were ready to amp it up a little bit, and but in other ways it's been good, because it's given me one time to just like continue to like refine my craft and my abilities, because at the end of the day, that's like nothing else matters if you aren't like really good. So have more time to get back to that has been good, I think, especially for young musicians. You know, it's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
I've heard Lyndon's been practicing a lot, your guitar player. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear you guys.
Yeah, we've I mean, we keep getting better, I guess.
What's going on with you? Like, what's going on with your album? You had an album coming out. You're working on an album.
Right.
What's going on there?
Yeah. So our release, we were planning on releasing in June, and we just decided, like I said, since we're so much of what we do is about the live aspect. We pushed it back, and I guess I'm in some ways thankful, because I've been able to kind of look at doing a proper release of it. Like you know, I've ordered a bunch of CDs that way we can mail it to like campus radio stations. And
is it a full-length album?
It's not. It's only it's a 4-track EP. One of the songs is like 9 minutes, and another one is like 7 minutes. So it's like, I think according to some rules, it's long enough to be an album, but it's only 4 songs. There's like there's two like singles ish. They're singles for me. They're like 4.5 minutes. So
cool. I like it. And so, you know what, while we're on the subject, where will people be able to find your music? Where can they find you online?
Right. Just pretty much anywhere. Marcus Trummer. We have a website, marcustrummermusic.com, and Marcus Trummer Music is also my social media handle. Cool. So we will be coming out, probably going to break it up into singles. And then, that'll happen towards the end of the summer and over the fall. So it's coming.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, obviously plans have to change because of circumstance, but I'm glad.
Yeah.
So, but it's recorded. It's all done.
Yeah, we recorded it in the winter, and then we had it all finished. It would have been good to go. We didn't get around to doing any like music video stuff, but I figure we might do that stuff after and just kind of extend the kind of life cycle of it. You know, doesn't all have to happen at the same time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was the recording process like for you? Do you have any advice to other musicians just looking to start recording?
Yeah, the funny story with the recording was 2 of these songs, we were actually trying to record them a year before. So, and we had a friend who had a home studio, and we were going to pay him and do it there. And we ended up like going in, and like we thought we were ready, and like we went in there, and it just like, things didn't turn out as we had expected. Like, and that was a good learning experience for us. Thankfully, it was a friend, so we weren't wasting a whole bunch of money. He's like, oh yeah, it's all good. But
that was a good question, Maddie. And before you move on, Marcus, so what sort of things were you not prepared for? Was it more like, was it like arrangements or like,
arrangements was probably the first mistake. We just didn't pay enough attention to thinking about that stuff. And once especially now after going through the process, I listen to music differently now, like recorded music. I listen for all those production things like shakers and So I think one thing for sure about getting a recording is just being really intentional about everything you're doing. Because now, like, of course, I think you should have some element of improvisation, if that's what you do. Like my band, we that's very improvisational. Like we're a blues rock and roll band, so definitely still trying to have that live aspect in it is something I look for in music. But yeah, the arrangement part, like just this past year in preparation, like we kind of dissected every song, and we had in rehearsals, like each member isolate their parts for a song and listen to what they're doing and see like, oh, the bass does that there, well maybe we should do that too. Like it's going a little bit beyond just like playing.
Really dissecting parts and intentionally putting them together, right?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And practicing to a metronome too helps.
We were talking about that earlier. Did you guys record to a click track?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. The 9-minute song, the second half is like an open jam, and I think we turned it off for that part. So, but for pretty much everything, yeah, it was to a click.
So some good advice is have your arrangements kind of ready and practice to a click. Practice to a click. Any other diehard advice for young bands going to a studio?
I don't know. Those were the biggest things that worked for me. I mean, also just being like open to new ideas. Like if you're working with a producer or whatever, or a engineer, like know what matters to you, but then be open-minded to take people's suggestions. I think that's what I learned with the little experience I have with recording. So
I think that's all really, really good advice and well said.
Right. Thanks. Yeah.
Do you have any more questions at all, Maddie?
No, I think that, you answered a lot of really good questions, and I think you gave a lot of really good advice that young artists and bands will find useful.
Right. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I hope anyone who watches this, I hope we meet and jam sometime, play a show together. Who knows? Come to the youth jam when it starts up again.
Yeah, and check out Marcus Trummer music. We'll put all that stuff up. Well, Marcus, thanks a lot for your time, man. It's really good to see you, and I'm glad to hear things are going well.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. Thanks. I was happy to be a part of your. This is the first episode of this, you're saying?
Well, we're just getting it started, so we're not sure what number this one's going to be, but they'll be out soon. Awesome.
Well, I'm glad I could get in on it.
Sweet. Well, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.